Welcome to our channel called Pro Product Guru, which is a YouTube channel where we discuss a lot of product management videos. This specific video is all about product execution question, and specifically in product execution, we are talking about troubleshooting or diagnose question. I will be asking a senior PM on like a good fan company, and they will be answering that question. The users of Snapchat are dropping on the platform.
Mm-hmm.
How will you figure out what is going wrong?
So let me repeat the question. We noticed that the users on Snapchat is dropping, and we need to know what is the reason.
Correct.
Got it. And I need to clarify several things before I started the diagnosis to know the situation better. So first, can you please give me the time frame for you to observe this drop?
This happened last week.
So does that mean that for for the beginning of last for the beginning of last week we see this is drop and it stays consistently at the low level for the whole last week? Is that right?
Correct. Yeah.
So that is actually a sudden drop that has been lasting for the most recent 1 week. Can I take that?
Yes.
Okay, last week, which is quite recent, and that is a sudden drop. And when it comes to the users, how would you define the users? Because there might be different definitions for users. It could be the all registered users. It could be login users on a day, or it could be active users, which might require a specific time session a day. So which definition do you think work for user here?
So you can say the daily active users, and the active users are who spend at least 4 hours a day. That is dropping, and it can be anything. Like they can be from different backgrounds, different segments, and all.
Mhm.
But the daily active user is something that we are watching, and that is going down.
Got it. And yes, I think that is making sense. Well, one last question is, I know this dropping is observed from last week on. Do you notice that there are some product change or new strategy for last week in Snapchat that might have an impact on this user?
Yeah, we have been continuously like doing product updates, bug fixing. There's a lot of changes on daily basis that we have been doing. So yeah, to answer your question, yes, we have done a lot of product changes.
Okay, so can I say that there are a bunch of new product update and new features launched around last week that might possibly related to this user drop? And can I make the assumption that the user drop is the user drop is coming from any one of the product update?
It's possible. It can be like all the product updates that we launch, or it can be anything else also. So yeah,
Okay, got
so
it.
it's a possibility. Yeah.
Got it. So it doesn't mean that that is necessarily the only one
Yes.
reason, but we cannot rule it out at
Yeah.
present.
Right.
Yes, I think these are all of the info I need. And next, just to give me one moment, I will try to process some, I will try to follow the user journey and to come up with some possible factors involved in this. And then I will come up with a list of hypotheses which are what are which are the reasons I think will possibly leading to this drop.
Got it. Thank. Yeah. Go for it.
Uh, so I think I am almost done. And here I will give out all of my hypotheses. So before I give out any hypothesis and make any assumptions, the first thing I do is data sanity check. I want to check the data quality and the data pipeline to make sure that we are observing the correct data. Like there is such a real drop in our user, in our daily active user, and there is no change on the definition for daily active user from last week compared with the history. So after all of this are checked, then we can make sure that this is a real problem going on. This is not leading by, this is not resulting by the change for metric definition or any data quality issues. And next, we know that this is a problem and we try to diagnose it and list some hypotheses. So first, I think before run into any hypothesis, I would like to talk about the stakeholders on Snapchat and the user scenario of it. So there are basically two communities or say two user scenarios on Snapchat. The first one is content creation and content creation and content consumption. So for this part, there are spotlight and story on Snapchat. So this is just like TikTok, and for this part, Snapchat is working like a short online video platform. And for this part, the stakeholders are content creator and content viewers. And the second community is conversation platform. You know that for Snapchat, people can talk with each other. And for this part, the stakeholders are message sender and message recipients. Well, given that we are so when we see a drop on our users, actually it is possible coming from any of these two user functionalities. Well, given that our definition for daily active user is at least using being active on Snapchat for 4 hours a day, I would say this is a really high threshold and this is a really deep engagement every day. That means this use that daily active users are really engaged on our platform. So based on this, I would say it is not very possible to coming from conversation because it is not very I don't think it is possible for the majority of our daily active users coming from conversation. Instead, I would say the majority for our daily active users coming from the content creation and content consumption. So here I would assume our drop for daily active user is due to some problems or some frictions coming from the content platform of the content section for Snapchat. And I will dive deeply into this by listing some hypotheses on either creator or viewer part. Do you think this is making sense to you?
Can you say again why do you think conversation platform is something where we cannot see the drop?
Yes, um, actually we cannot rule out conversation for now perfectly, but my assumption is conversation have a less probability to be the reason compared with the content platform because our definition for DAU is to be active on Snapchat for over 4 hours a day. I mean, that
Hmm.
is quite a long time. And with that, we could say that the daily active users on Snapchat are really addicted and are really highly engaged into Snapchat. Well, given this, I don't think conversation would be the major functionality or the major scenario for our daily active users. It is given that we have messengers, we have texts, we have other social media platforms such as TikTok and Instagram. I don't think it is very possible for people to spend over 4 hours simply on conversation. Instead, I think the content consumption and
Yeah, makes
content
sense. Yeah.
could be the major channel.
Right, right. That makes sense. Yeah. Go
Yeah.
for the content creation or viewing. Yeah.
Yes. So for content creation, there are two stakeholders. The first one is content creators, who are the people to create and upload either story or spotlight. And the second stakeholder are the viewers. It's simple. They are just the audiences to watch those, to consume those content. And I mean, when we are seeing the significant drop in daily active user, we cannot rule out any one of this. But my assumption is I would prioritize viewers first because viewers is the majority part for our user base. We have way more viewers than our creators, and it's more possible that the majority of the drop in daily active user coming from viewers rather than creator. So I'll start from the possible reason for the drop in viewer first, and then we move on to creator. As for the viewer side, we think about their user scenarios and user journey. Say now you're an audience at Snapchat. First, you log in and open your app, and then you go to either Story or Spotlight. And next, you can select to browse over the recommended content for you, or you can search for something. So all of this are scenarios that can lead to a churn or say lead to a quit, which leads to the drop on our viewers. So here are some frictions I can think about. So the first one is the friction during login. That being said, people having a hard time to open and activate the app. This definitely hold them back from going deeper. And the second is the problem with recommendation algorithm. So when people go to Spotlight and Story, if the recommendation system and algorithm is working as normal and working well, then people can see the content based on their taste and interest, and they can start to watch it, and because that is the content personalized for them. But if there is something going wrong with recommendation system and algorithm, the content are not attractive as before. For example, it might be old and not fresh, and it might not be so personalized and so targeting at the taste for this audience that our viewers do not have so much addiction and interest into the recommended content anymore. So second reason is here, maybe something is going wrong with our recommendation system, functionality, and algorithm. And the third one is maybe there are some technical glitch. For example, if there is problem with latency on the page refresh and latency on the content loading, this will lead to bad user experience because they are suffering from friction rather than a seamless process to open, load, and playback a video. So this will lead to the quit and drop off interest from our viewers. So here are all of the three hypotheses that I can come up with for the friction along the user journey for viewers.
Again, summarizing, one is technical glitch, second is algorithm problem, and what is the third one?
Uh, the third one is search. So the search
Search.
function, if the search functionality is not working anymore, for example, people input something in the search bar and the result is not meeting it, or the search result is just not ranked in a proper order. All of this can lead to a harm to user interest.
Got it. Anything additional you can think of which is not internal perspective, like external factors that can lead to decrease in the number of consumers or viewers?
Yes, exactly. So I think for all of the possible reasons I have mentioned this internal part, we can definitely move on to external part. And external factors are something we should pay a close attention to as well. So here are something I can think about. The first one is the impact from our competitor or the change for the market for the market framework. As I have clarified in the very beginning, I asked question as whether there are some product updates in the meantime for Snapchat itself. Well, this is the same question I need to ask for other competitors, because if other players in the market is launching some new strategy or new features, or they're just running some new marketing campaign and have some new promotions in the meantime, this can lead to a churn for our users to to transfer to the competitors. So this is the first reason. And second reason I want to look at is seasonality, seasonality and trend. So for I think the usage for social media, especially for Snapchat, is impacted a lot by seasonality and external events. For example, if there are some big sports events in the last in a given time period, then people might involve to Snapchat and watch more story and spotlight more But if there is just no, there is not a lot event, there is no big things going on. That is just the flat season for social media and online entertainment, and people are not will not use Snapchat as much as before. So seasonality and the event is definitely a thing I need to check based on historical data compared with our last week. And yes, I think these are the two major reasons.
Got it. Okay, sounds good. Let's say there is some internal problem. We want to go after that,
Yeah.
and we did something, and something major. Like we made some changes internally.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the data we got, and because of that, this thing is happening. What will you do next?
So can I recap that as there are some change on product update, such as new strategy or new features that leads to the drop of this daily active user, and how could we tackle that?
Right.
Do you think we need to learn more about what specific product change it is?
Yes, I so what are some of the so let's say the store so Snapchat is a big company. So Snapchat, we are talking about the stories part. The stories saw the decline. So in the stories, we did some updates, right? And instead of like clicking on the story, appearing it, um, and lasting for like 30 seconds, it lasted for 10 seconds. Let's say the duration we decreased. That is something we change.
I'm sorry, can you repeat the change again?
So basically the stories can last for 30 seconds.
Yeah,
um, we made it last for 10 seconds. So that's the update we did.
got it. So that said, in last week we have shortened the duration for a story, and um, we already know that there are some causation between this change to the drop of daily active users, and then we want to see what we should do, right?
Right.
Um, Yes, first, thank you for this info. What I am thinking is we still need to, first, we need to think of this as a generic drop. Like there is a general drop on all users without segmentation. And we need to take a look at which stakeholder is dropping, either viewer or creators. And after that, we take a step further to do some segmented analysis. That said, instead of thinking of this as a very overall impact, as a generic one, what if there is some specific impact on some given segment? And for this part, I will provide some possible dimension for us to do segmentations, and maybe we can figure out where is our target niche, and we can carry out some solving strategy for them specifically.
Got it. Okay, what are some of the metrics that you will measure?
Um, so first, I would, as I have mentioned, I would look into the distribution for stakeholder among the drop. I would see like which stakeholder is driving the drop, the viewers or creators. So after that, I can do the segmentation
Got
further
it.
and see which specific segment is dropping a lot. And I think it depends on whether we focus on viewer or creator here.
Got it. Okay, makes sense. Cool. So let's say viewer is going down. So
Okay,
so now what's next? Like what? How will you tackle the problem?
got it. So if we are seeing the viewers are dropping, then I think um, on overall level, the generic reason I can think about is there is a change aversion from our viewers to the change for the content duration. Previously, the story is 30 seconds, and 30 seconds can cover a lot of information and a lot of content. So the creator will organize and film the story in one way, Well, after we cutting the time limitation to 10 seconds, I mean, that is a huge change. That is just one third as before. And in this way, the time become a very big restriction. And maybe our creator is having a hard time to adapting to the new time frame because it will be very difficult for them to put all of the information and all of the stories they want to tell just into a 10-second time frame compared with the previous 30 seconds that they have been using they have been used to. So first, this is a problem for our creators. They might have a hard time to put good content and to organize the time when they are uploading and posting and editing some stories. Well, this will lead to the lower quality and less attractiveness for the content. And that is the straightforward reason for us seeing the drop of viewers because the content is not so attractive as before anymore. And in order to see whether this hypothesis is right, I might look into several metrics. The first one is the click through rate for all of the story impression. So this is defined as for each one of our audience among all of the presented stories on their screen, what is the percentage for them to take a click through? We do not care how long they watch it and whether they complete it. We just count the click and the initialize for that story. So the second one is the 5 second watch completion rate. So here I take 5 seconds as a threshold to measure a very superficial level of engagement with the content from the viewers. I want to see mine the videos that are click through, how many of the audiences complete the first 5 seconds and do not quit. And the third metric is the completion rate. That said, among all of the videos that are clicked through by our audiences, what percentage of them complete to watch the whole videos? So among these three metrics, my assumption is based on this update for the time limitation for story, I would say maybe we're seeing a significant drop from the third one, which is the completion rate for the story. Like people are still interested in have a very superficial level of interaction with the content by clicking through and watch it for a very short term, but they lose attention and they lose interest because the 10-second stories are not high quality, catchy, and attractive and informative as the 30-second one. So they just quit after they get a brief chat. So here is my like top one prioritized hypothesis that our audiences are losing interest and they are not completing watching every single one of the stories anymore.
Got it. That makes sense. Cool. So no questions so far. Anything else you want to add?
Yes, I think that is pretty much for my answer.
Got it. Anything from self reflection you want to add?
So first, thank you for this question. I think at first, I think that is a very big question because it is not very specific, focusing on any single functionality or features or any specific persona. And I started to try to narrow down it. And I think I did well in the clarification question part because I narrowed down it to a reasonable scope that I can come up with a user journey, user scenarios, and a list of reasonable hypotheses. Well, when I am processing the answer, I think first I might be kind of um, too talkative and too ambiguous when I mention why I prioritize content over conversation. So for here, I think you asked me to repeat my reasoning again. And for this part, I think in my original answer, maybe I am not so concise and I am not answering on point. Like maybe I wondering and talk too much, and I didn't organize my answer for this part in bullet points. So that might be a little bit hard to follow. And secondly, is when I'm trying to come up with the hypothesis um, with viewers, I don't know. I think I have a hard time to come up with many hypotheses these three are the only things I can think about, but I think there might be some other things I just miss. So maybe I missed something in the hypothesis part about viewers. I could have covered more if I have more time. So yes, that is pretty much all my self reflection.
Got it. I think overall you did a good job in terms of structure, answering detailed metric and stuff. I will not go into the good part. Good part, you are best at it. The only part which I would like to see some more uh, enhancements or things you can work on is ask a lot of clarifying questions more. Like the question was very generic. I get that. So the user is dropping from Snapchat. What's going on? So things which you missed are um, you should have asked, like, are we talking about Snapchat stories, are we talking about Snapchat upload feature, are we talking about, like, there's like 1 million features in the Snapchat app,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
Every feature has a different metric. What exactly we are talking about? I should have answered you that maybe stories. That was should be asked before. How much is a drop? You also did not ask that. You asked, okay, the time frame, which I answered 1 week ago, but if you would have asked me how much is a drop, I would have said 50% or something, right? So that is something also missed. Um, you can also ask, like, I know you kind of in the later in the journey when you were answering, you were assuming creators as well as the consumers or the viewers part, but if you clarify that before, I could have like told you one versus another, so to clarify that part also.
Yeah.
So I think I have given these kind of answers, and the interviewer is kind of a data science or data analyst person. So basically, yes and no, whatever data you need, the interviewer will say that. So kind of like asking a lot of questions, uh, and when you are assuming, clarifying that with the interviewer, that is what I think this question is all about. It's very easy question. Um, yeah, and then you covered all the parts on hypothesis, like internal versus external. External can be competitors, seasonality, um, and then internal can be like bug or algorithm problem or something we launched. You covered that part as well. So
Yes.
good job on that. Yeah, overall good
Yes.
answer.
Another thing is external. So I think I keep that in mind when I first received this question. I think that, oh, I should start with something like I need to separate my discussion in external and internal separately. And maybe I can start from the internal part because you mentioned something as the product date that might be related. Well, I just forget this part when I answer that. I think for this type of question, it's always safe to start as, oh, maybe we need to discuss both external and internal part, but we
Yeah,
just need to prioritize one
yeah,
first.
you asked me that question about product updates, but I answered that, okay, it can be the reason, but it's not necessarily the reason. It can be other things also. So
Yes.
from my perspective, write all the things down on the paper when you are sharing the screen with the interviewer, and
Mm-hmm.
ask the interviewer, do you think I should go into the external factors? Then the interviewer might say, okay, what kind of external factors do you think? Then you can write, okay, competitors, new product launches happened, or maybe there's a marketing problem that happened, or maybe there's seasonality or holiday season or something like that, right?
Yes.
Do you think I should go into each section? Interview will say, okay, what else you can think of from the internal wise? Then you can go keep on asking the interviewer that kind of questions. Engaging with the interviewer. That's what I can. So that's one way to do it. Some interviewers also say that, okay, write everything down and write all the hypotheses down. Then you can get to, you can by yourself, the answer. Okay, for this hypothesis this can be wrong, for this hypothesis this can be wrong. Some interviewer go that way also. So letting asking the interviewer what kind of format you are looking for, like I can ask you question, you can answer me, or I can write everything down and then you can answer. Is that what you're looking for? So engaging with the interviewer, that is what this is all about. Yeah.
Got it. Yes, thank you so much for this feedback. It is very helpful. And actually, I kind of hope that I can get some troubleshooting question in my product around, because troubleshooting is like there is no right or wrong answer. It's more about like how broad your thoughts is and how well organized your answer is. I mean, it is more open-ended than the other two type of questions. So I hope I can come across such type, and I definitely keep all of this framework in mind.
Cool, cool. Thank you so much for also your feedback. It was very good. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. See ya.